Hi, so I just finished The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, and that was such an eye-opening book for me to learn the history behind the war on drugs and mass incarceration and to see it in a historical timeline. Like, it made me so aware of some of my biases around this topic. Like, I grew up viewing police officers as someone there to protect, and so there's my privilege. I didn't have that fear like many Americans do. Um, I guess what I'm sitting with, well, so many things, but I think the things that I want to leave with y'all are the media and television portrayal and wondering how much of an impact they have on the narrative. Like, did they create this narrative and then it just continues to enforce it? Like, I think about like how they portray today the protests that are happening. They group the looting and the peaceful protests, and they throw around words like thugs, and so it creates a narrative for people. And I wonder, how much of that have we allowed to happen? Um, the idea of colorblindness and how much harm it's doing. And I think that we need to have these conversations. And I think we're starting to get there, but I think that they need to continue. About race and about systemic racism. And I think we need to acknowledge that we have a problem and begin taking action to reform many of the systems that we have in place. Looking at like the prison system and all spheres of our society. Like, we can no longer take the easy road and stay comfortable or complacent. When she says the concept of race is a relatively recent development, only in the past few centuries, owing largely to European imperialism, have the world's people been classified along racial lines. Here in America, the idea of race emerged as a means of reconciling chattel slavery, as well as the extermination of American Indians, with the ideals of freedom preached by whites in the new colonies. Like, can we take a pause for a moment? And like, the idea that race was a system put in place to keep people oppressed and to take land away from indigenous populations, like, this is what our nation is founded on and what generations carry with them. And I think that if we don't look at how we can break this cycle, it's just going to continue this cycle of trauma for generations and generations. And Michelle Alexander also says that those in the civil rights community are not immune to racial stereotypes. And like, I think this applies to everyone in all spheres of work and interactions. Like, I know for me, I am thinking about, if I don't become aware of my biases and what I carry with me when I walk into a room, when I'm working with a client, like, that is going to sit there with us and it's going to influence how I look at this person that I am here to support and to advocate for. So I think we need to become aware that, and acknowledge that we are not immune to the media and political rhetoric or any of the other portrayals and narratives we hear out in public. We're not immune to the system. Like, we are inside of these systems. And that is why checking and rechecking our biases and educating ourselves and those around us is super important. because it informs how we look at a situation. And if we're not aware of the stereotypes and the biases that we carry, they'll just continue. So that is what I want to leave with you all. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear any of your thoughts. And go out and read this book. I highly recommend it. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to my channel.